Here is some of my tomato plants. I started with my home heating pad. They germinate in about 3 days, if you can see them in here. Got a lot of little tomatoes growing. Just about 100% grow rate this year, and that's a blessing, to say the least. A little unfinished business though. One of the first films I ever made was Buried Ammunition near McCook, Nebraska. Over 300,000 people have looked at that film, and yet I've had thousands of people tell me they think I was either lying, or if it did happen that the military buried ammunition back then, that they would never do it nowadays. They'd never do it again. The story is simple enough that a retired state patrolman told me that during World War II he was a state patrolman in this area, and he said that he was called and another officer were called to block the roads so that the military could come in with bulldozers and dig out different places. They might be digging pits, water pits for the farmers, or dams, different things they would be doing within the canyons in southwest Nebraska. And they would bring truckload after truckload of ammunition. It might be as small as the 30 caliber ammunition on up to 50 caliber and 20 millimeter ammunition, brand new in the box ammunition. Truckload after truckload. He told about going on a number of convoys of that way, and he said other officers went on other convoys that he wasn't on. So we don't have any idea how many rounds, how many millions of rounds that may well have been dumped in southwest Nebraska. Now, in case you think I'm lying, that's fine. I can't prove it otherwise, one way or another. But I will tell you that this week alone, AP News, it's all over the place, that in Afghanistan, it is now estimated that they destroyed and buried $7 billion worth of equipment instead of leaving it over there or bringing it home. Of that money, 2,000 were armored personnel carriers, basically a larger version of a Humvee, if you will. 2,000 of those, and they said they couldn't afford to bring them back home. What kind of insanity is that? The Japanese have no problem putting cars on ships and bringing them over here and selling them for a profit. But we can't bring our own military, the best military grade weapons and personnel carriers back here that they may be used again, or at least melted down and made something else with it, and they say they can't afford to do it. I think the word is a corporate greed of the military complex. Working overtime is the game plan, and of course the serious crime is against the taxpayer and against future generations trying to pay off that kind of stupidity and waste in the United States government. Did it happen back then? You bet it did. No question in my mind. And it's still happening today. And so you better start growing a lot more tomatoes, because they've got your dollars already spent before you make them. And the only way you may feed your family is if you garden yourself. This is McCook's Mr. Bill. Rate this film.